So glad that you could be here on the Original You podcast. I'm going to start with our first question, which is, who are you right now? Not what you do, but just who you feel yourself to be in this moment.
In this moment, I am a woman that's rediscovering herself, the most authentic me before the world ever decided to tell me who I needed to be, um, who I should be, the upbringing of a Asian immigrant parents, how little girls should be seen and not heard. You have to be a good girl. And really, right now, I'm more in a more honest place. I'm in an honest place where I am remembering who I am and whose I am, and that's leaning into my faith. That's a big part of it, and that knowing that Jesus Christ is my ultimate savior. He's my Lord, and He is guiding me and remembering, helping me remember who I am and my authority.
Can you talk about moments of change in your life?
Absolutely. I think the one that really stands out to me right now is I came from the restaurant world. My family owned restaurants. I I still do. I love the restaurant business. However, it is a business that consumes you. Um, but I loved it. I loved making people happy, throwing a party. And I remember it was a part of life. It was everything. It came before my partner, it came before myself, it came before family, but I had a goal. My goal was to open restaurants around the country and to
Mm.
impact young leaders um and I needed to make that happen at all cost. And so I remember it was November of 2023. I woke up in a hotel in LA. I was on it was my ninth opening that year. Um, and I had the revelation that I had everything that I've ever wanted and everything that I've ever prayed for. I got the position, I had the impact, I was making the most money I've ever made, but I was so empty
Mm.
and lonely because my why and my heart posture turned from truly this business that I love and helping people and to just, okay, how do I get to the next thing? How do I get to the next level? It became my heart posture was wrong and I left God out of it. And so that revelation brought me to my knees because I was so sad. Like I reached my goal, but there was absolutely no fulfillment. And that's the ultimate failure.
Can you speak more about the heart posture that you're talking about? What does that feel like?
Absolutely. So there is, I did it for the title, I did it for the image, I did it for it. Originally, when I first got into learning and development, it was to help people. It was to help people may necessarily not feel so lost in a new position, to maybe help them be able to do their job a little bit. Either they save time or not feel so, I guess coming from my own experience in the industry was training and development was always second because to operations. And 9 times out of 10, restaurant operations are not 100% fully um, stable. So I created a career of just figuring things out for my own. And when I got into it initially and why I gravitated towards it was to help someone not have to figure it out on their own and be that support for them and create that space. But because of the w- every goal that I reached, like it was okay, well, what is next? So it became less about the people and more about the goal
Mhm.
and reaching that target. So it became more about me and not about the people that that I wanted to serve. And that's when I met my heart posture.
Okay. So how did you overcome where you were? I mean, how did you then
Wow.
get into your heart and what did that do?
Well, it was not perfect. It was very messy. I left the business. I left the business in
Oh,
early 2024.
okay.
Um, and it was, I knew that I could not do it anymore. Um,
Hmm.
I had, you know, I guess I had the moment of disgust where it was, I looked back on my life. If I had disappeared or if I had left, like what would have been my legacy? And I thought about that.
Hmm.
And, and then just all of that influx of just, my relationships, my impact. Like I had nothing but work to show. So if my life was a wheel, it would have been a really lumpy wheel. I
Hmm.
had work but my spirituality was not there. My health was not there because I was on the road all the time. Like there was no joy. Um, so I made a radical decision and I left corporate America. I quit. I took some time off and I went to go see my parents in Taiwan. There's something about, you know, my parents, parents always seem to ground you and make
Hmm.
things better. So I was with them there and I spent that year just really coming back to myself. Um, and I made some great financial decisions, which allowed me to do that. But there was the revelation that I got back into church, got rooted in church, surrounded myself with just wholesome, good, like-minded people. And I got real hungry. I got really, really hungry to get to know the Lord. And through that, He really helped me healed my heart, pointed out a lot of blind spots and why I made the decisions that I did. And a lot of it was I had a wounded heart. I grew up with the craving my parents' love, and in order for me to get that, I had to perform. I had to come home with the best grades. The house had to be clean. Not that they asked me or expected me to do so, but that was when I got the attaboys. That's when I got the attention. And so my mind fused that. Um, so for 20, well, God, I'm in my 40s now. So up until very recently, I thought that my worth was in my production. My worth was not something that I possessed. It was something that had to be produced.
Right.
Um, I'm still on the journey. I'm very, very blessed to to have to be surrounded by really, really great people. And God has put me in rooms that I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would be in. So I get to serve, at church. I get to serve um, in the Tony Robbins world. I'm sitting here with you. Like this is all just really learning how to surrender control and not having to figure out, in my past, I had to figure out all the ways in case something went wrong, here is the solution. Now, in this past in 2025, 2024, 25, 25 has taught me, and it's been building, is that, I don't have to know all the steps. I don't have to have all the answers,
Hmm.
but it's about trusting, um, and just taking that next step. It's messy. It's not going to be perfect. But it's saying yes and not feeling overwhelmed or having to have that complete certainty that this is going to work out. It may not, but I'm going to learn, right? So that's when I decided in September I'm going to open up my own coaching practice. It's something that I go back to the root of why I love to do things, which is to help people and to serve people. So Um,
So my second question was going to be, looking back, what has most shaped that, who you are, the people, places, and experiences, especially the human ones. So where were your community, your mentors, your teachers, your parents, siblings, friends, family, etc., that helped you to overcome the challenges in your life? I kind of heard that you've just always been an incredibly responsible person, holding a lot up. And then that itself became the challenge.
it did. It did. And, one of the things that I've learned to do is, um, yes, there's a gift in everything, right? Um, my parents, yes, they weren't around a lot, but they were also working. So it was because they were working. I'm so sorry. Excuse me. It was because they were working to provide for my brother and I. So because of that, I caught the valuable gift of, work ethic, like being able to see the fruits of a great work ethic, and grit, and not giving up and not letting any sort of limitations, whether it be a language barrier or, let that be an excuse for
Mhm.
success. Um, and it is. I have the most supportive family. They don't necessarily understand like, why I do the things I do, but they are 100% supportive. So telling them, you know, that I have quit a career
Mhm.
um, in my mid 40s, like something that I've built, over 20 years to build, to be a coach. They don't know what coach, they don't know the coaching industry. They're like, what do you mean? Are you going to help them exercise? I'm like, no, 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 no. But it is, but it's that heart, right? They're also teaching me and it's reminding me that they embraced uncertainty. They came to a country where they knew no one and didn't even know the language. And so my parents are
Are they in
definitely
the
Jewish.
US?
Not anymore. They
Okay.
they moved back to Taiwan about 3 years ago. So it's they're living their best lives, so I can't be upset. But I am a little my selfish part is I just don't have them close by.
Mhm.
So and that's the beauty of technology, right?
Mhm.
I was on a Zoom call. We have a family Zoom call like every week we have at least one, but I just find the need to call them whenever. So it's like it's so instead of going to their house, I just pick up the phone and call them.
Right. That's great.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I had in here love, loss, immigration, culture, teachers, mentors. But I think you've answered that really well. The third question is, where has technology played a role? And I think you're now shifting into that, helpful, harmful, or both, social media, work tools, AI phones, medicine, etc.
My personal opinion is it's been extremely helpful for me. I also think that I can see how it can be harmful, but where it also is it's important to have that wisdom to guard, you know, be the gatekeeper of what you ingest, right? And having the
Mhm.
discernment to see whether or not this is coming from a place of fear or a place of service. So I started my self-development journey with Tony Robbins at his first, I was part of his first event. This was during COVID. And, you know, what a role model for that, right? So this is a man whose complete mission is to help people, but because of COVID, everything was shut down. And so it, he had to become resourceful. This was before, yeah, there were tiny Zoom meetings, but to be able to serve, he serves 3 times more the amount of people that he does now because of Zoom.
Mhm.
Um, so I think that is amazing. I also think that it's amazing that, you and I are on this call and you are in New Hampshire and I'm in Florida, and also being in this community, in the Tony Robbins community, now I now have friends that are all over the world. So I think that technology is amazing. I think AI has definitely shortened the amount of time, um, and where wisdom will come into place, where I would spend the time finding research, and then trying to filter whether it's factual or not. Um, Learning how to ask it the right questions and have it be a thought partner with me. I think that is amazing. And saving time, but also where wisdom comes in is what am I going to do with this time? You know, and I think truly to be able to find the time to make connections with how many times do I hear people say, well, I meant to call my friend or I meant to call my mom, but time got away from me. So it's finding it's having that extra time to pocket and be able to practice presence, or be able to sit here and serve and be able to tell my story, to you and hopefully share this, making that pocket of time right now where otherwise I would have been, you know, knee deep in research or so I think it's very, very helpful. But where there's light, there's darkness as well.
Mhm.
And so I am very, very mindful about not consuming, I'm not on social media except to share, the causes that I'm working on or to stay in connection with my network. I don't scroll. I don't watch the news. I know this is terrible, but it's not because I don't want to know what's going on in the world. I get that off of there are other platforms that I can do so, but I refuse to live in fear. And I think that that's just this is my personal opinion is that it keeps us in the news is designed to keep us in fear.
Mhm.
Um, and that's something that I learned in COVID.
One thing that made me curious that you talked about was I don't know if it was inherent or if it was instilled by your parents, but the grit that you have really comes through. And so I'm curious, where was that coming from?
It it definitely is. It came from my father. This man, he started working when he was 12 years old,
Mhm.
and so he, it is one of those, whatever it takes, we're gonna do it. Um, and I love that I got that from him. Um, and to be able to take that and also just make it my own, and it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to take a day off and regroup. It's okay to take a step back to propel 3 steps forward.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, he's my hero. He is.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. This was great. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed learning about you.
Likewise.
I hope that you'll come back. I actually want this time as a reflective time for people where it's almost like a time capsule and they can come back in a couple of years and then see where they are and see how their minds and hearts have changed potentially.
Ah, well, thank you for creating this container.
Thank you so
Yes,
much.
of course. It's been
Thank you.
such a pleasure.